Hey, everyone, this is Andy Hall. This is the Disappointed Cat Morning Show. Your one-stop shop for cats, maybe secularism, and of course, progressive news, or news from the progressive viewpoint. I want to say hello to everyone who is watching on Facebook. I'm streaming this to the Laughing in Disbelief Facebook page and also to the Comedy Atheist Burrito. Does that sound right? Right? Atheist Comedy Burrito, the Facebook group. I won't be able to interact with people on Facebook. If you do come over to YouTube and join the chat, I'll be able to directly interact with you. You'll see me do this. If this is your first time here, you'll see me do this with people in the chat here on YouTube. So, hey, crazy stories we're covering today. A COVID lottery, more COVID lotteries popping up throughout the country. We have a story about chickens, mice. I guess this is an animal-heavy episode today. GOP auditors messing up voting machines. Ted Cruz and jobs. Let's do something funny. Let's do something funny before we start the news, right?
You sum up the day for us? Just didn't do very many things right today. Between the failed IKEA run and the quiet car ride home, just couldn't find our momentum out there. You said the IKEA run failed. Can you explain? Inventory was low. She asked to go yesterday, and I convinced her that the item would still be there today, and it was not. Can you walk us through the car ride home? Look, I knew when the Taylor Swift sad songs were being sung that it was going to be an uphill battle, and at that point I knew I had to throw my playbook out and stop at Target. You called a timeout in Target. Yeah, why? She asked for my card, and I wanted to slow the game down at that point. I felt like we were playing a little bit too emotional. Did you not have enough money on the card? Next question.
I just want to point out right here is that Target offers a debit card. You still get 5% off with your debit card, and it's quite useful. I'm wondering whether or not I'm chopping again like I was yesterday, because I feel like I am, but people in the chat are going to tell me pretty soon. Yeah, hello everyone. Rage, glad to see that you're raging here today, this morning. Rage. Simply Secular Dave, hello. Jess M, Scott Duke. Yeah, I am not using the Wi-Fi, using a landline. Hopefully that's going to resolve whatever issues we had yesterday. Simply Secular Dave, waking up early. John Hudson, glad to see you here. Tobin Templeman, Derek Cruz. I was up at 4:15 this morning, non-cat related. My cat wasn't meowing. I just happened to wake up at 4:15 this morning. Joy, wasn't that wonderful? That was wonderful. You're not chopping a blurry. Thanks, Simply Secular Dave. I appreciate that. What's up, Kevin? Chaos. Love the chaos. Phil Lister, good morning. Don't know where you're boating. I don't know if you're boating today, Phil Lister. I don't know where you are. Yes, the girlfriend does mention that I'm in my lobster shirt. Here it is, full of lobsters. Chock full of lobsters. Woolly Ignorant, glad to see that you're here. I do have an announcement. Sunday night, we do a late show here. Typically interviews with my buddy Jack Materko, who is a member of the Satanic Temple out in Arizona. And this guest that we have here, I'm quite excited about. Stu DeHaan. He is lead counsel for TST's lawsuit against Scottsdale, Arizona. We talked about the Scottsdale, Arizona lawsuit yesterday on the show. Stu DeHaan's been on the show before. We've had great conversations with him. And the real question is whether or not this case about the Satanic Temple and the invocation in Scottsdale, Arizona, whether or not this could go up to the Supreme Court. We've talked to Stu in the past about this issue, maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, and he was saying, yeah, maybe this will go up to the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court. It'll be interesting to see what he has to say with the makeup of the court right now, what he would expect, what the decision would be if the case does go up to the Supreme Court. So Stu DeHaan here on this channel, 10:30 p.m. Eastern this Sunday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. Phil Lister says, bad storms and gales out at sea at present. There, that's not good for boating, I would imagine, right? Brainbug. Let's see Brainbug's buzzing here. Great channel Brainbug has, in case you're on YouTube and want to see some incredible information about insects and all kinds of nature-related things. Brainbug is he has a great channel. All right, so you want to do something funny? You want to do something funny before we get into the news cycle? Something more funny, right? A couple of memes, quick memes, and then we'll dive into the first story, which is a COVID lottery. But let's do a few funny things first. Here you have the difference between Jesus and Satan. And I don't know. I mean, you can hate figs, and of course that hates figs for Jesus. That goes back to I think it was in Matthew, maybe it was in Mark, where Jesus curses the fig tree. I want to say it's Mark, but I could be wrong. Chad probably knows. And Satan, of course, totally cool with figs. And of course, the Jesus wants you to dedicate your weekend to singing hymns to him, right? Which is wrong. And Satan, he's more chill. Much more chill guy. I would vote for Satan over Jesus any day of the week. Here we go. Even if you don't like Joe Biden, he did sign a lot of executive orders uneffing the stuff that Donald J. Trump did, right? So you can give him that much for credit. Just signed a ton of executive orders at the beginning of his administration. Unfucking some things. And the last meme, it might be cat related. I'm not going to lie to you. It could be. You probably have seen this. It's kind of a spin off of that famous Norman Rockwell painting. It's a cat doing a self-portrait, looking like a tiger. Good times, everyone. Good times. I'm going to check out the chat one more time before launching into the COVID lottery. Hey, remember, Sammy, hail Satan. Exactly, right? Yeah. Satan. Good guy, Satan. Satan equals heavy metal, equals love, John Hudson says. Indeed, John Hudson. Yeah, I don't understand the figs part with Jesus either. I haven't heard a deep dive about that verse from the Bible. It must be based on another story, or it's a piece of a story and only that section was placed in the Bible. Oh, the cat from the meme identifies as India, the lost Houston tiger. Yes, who is no longer lost, of course. Simply Secular Saved says, Satan owes the most delicious cereal ever conceived. Pure pleasure in your mouth. That could go sideways pretty fast, Dave. I'm just going to move to the next. Move into, Dr. Mordecai. Glad to see that you're here today, Dr. Mordecai. It was just a bad day for Jesus. I think every day with Jesus is a bad day. That could just be me saying that. Maybe it is just me saying that, but I think that there's probably some kind of peer-reviewed study showing that any day with Jesus is a bad day. All right, first story, COVID lotteries, everyone. New York and Maryland follow Ohio in creating COVID vaccine lottery months ago. I said on this show and other people's channels that Americans were knuckleheads. Many of us would not get the vaccine without some kind of incentive. And an incentive besides like not dying from COVID or not getting some kind of permanent disability from COVID, right? It would be nice if we were all rational creatures and said, hey, I need a vaccine. I'm going to go do it. But we're a stupid species. As Michael Shermer said, we have bad brains, everyone. So now states are incentivizing good behavior, which is what we need to do. Incentivize good behavior. And they are creating a financial incentive for people to get vaccines via the lottery. Let's take a look at the story. Links are in the description below if you want to check out the original articles. CNN, New York, and Maryland both announced lotteries on Thursday for people who get vaccinated against COVID-19, joining Ohio, which last week announced drawings to give away millions of dollars in a bid to boost flagging vaccination rates in the state. New Yorkers who get vaccinated next week from Monday to Friday will be given a lottery ticket with a chance to win as much as $5 million. $5 million. Governor Andrew Cuomo said at a news briefing Thursday, and starting on Tuesday, the Maryland lottery will randomly select a vaccinated Marylander for a $40,000 prize every single day. That's the way to build hype, everyone. That's the way to build hype, is that you got to do it every day. Doing it every day, people kind of start thinking about it every day. It's like, wow, Joe down the street or someone I know possibly just got $40,000. Maybe I'll get $40,000 too, just for being vaccinated. The Maryland drawings will be held for 40 days through July. And on July 4th, a winner will get a grand prize of $400,000, Hogan said. It's a good deal. And it's great that they're doing it on July 4th because, you know, once again, Americans, America, you know, most of the people who haven't gotten the vaccine so far, you know, there's some Democrats, some people who are reticent, who are on the left. Well, a majority of them are Trump supporters, let's face it. So, and they want to think of themselves as patriotic. So doing the $400,000 grand prize on July 4th, I think that's money. I think that's a great idea. I was listening to Andrew Yang on the 538 podcast, and he was talking about universal basic income. And he did a variety of different tests to see what would work, what would resonate with people. And it turned out it was, I think it's the freedom dividend. The freedom dividend, because Americans love the word freedom. So if you ask people, hey, do you like universal basic income? They'll frown. They'll be like, no. But the freedom dividend, well, totally on point. And that's the thing about doing the lottery on July 4th, the $400,000 lottery, just for getting a freaking vaccine. How incredible is that? All right, I'm going to check out the chat before going to the next story. Let's see how everyone's doing. America, that's right, John Hudson. Checking out. Well, yes, U.S. healthcare is a lottery or more of a crapshoot. That's right, Simply Secular Dave. Well, you know, Sammy Jenkins, you're thinking rationally. The people targeted by the lottery are irrational in general. I would rather have a free donut every day, and you're right about that, because that's what Krispy Kreme is doing here in the States. But something about lotteries really does hook into our midbrain, our irrational brain, and get us motivated. It gets us moving. All right. I think we're ready to do the next story. Ted Cruz is in the news, everyone, for spreading Russian propaganda. I wish I was making this up. But yes, Ted Cruz is in the news. I don't know if you've seen it. We're going to take a look at this video. It's because he's been spreading Russian propaganda like a good Republican. All right.
Last thing before we go tonight, by all accounts, Ted Cruz did not like the nickname Cancun Cruz, though he tried joking about it, acting like it didn't matter. He really won't like being called Kremlin Cruz after his latest and remarkably stupid lapse in judgment. Remember as you watch this just how much Ted Cruz dreams of being president of a country someday, perhaps not this country, for reasons like this. He posted this, quote, "Holy crap, perhaps a woke, emasculated military is not the best idea." Then he posted this video you're about to see, Russian propaganda, a recruitment video for their military, followed by a video meant to diminish the U.S. military.
И новой жизни. Что ты знаешь о себе? На что ты способен? Вопросы могут остаться без ответов, но разве ты сможешь познать себя? Познать границы своих возможностей? К черту границы, а без боя нет победы. Но на самом деле, главный враг — это задача выследить врага, догнать его, превзойти, стать лучше, чем он.
It begins in California with a little girl raised by two moms. I also marched for equality. I like to think I've been defending freedom from an early age. To marry my other mom. With such powerful role models, I finished high school at the top of my class. And after meeting with an Army recruiter, I found it. A way to prove my inner strength. I'm U.S. Army Corporal Emma Malone Lord, and I answered my calling.
So many things to say here, starting with, don't we want committed and motivated members of our all-volunteer armed forces? The Russians already reach deep into our society every day. Their disinformation is all over our media already, and it.
All right, so you get the basic idea of what Ted Cruz is doing. He would rather fight culture wars and ally himself with the Russian state than to actually be a patriot. And this just goes without saying that the Republican Party now, it is by far more of a fascist party, a white supremacy party, and that's a theocratic party, and that's exactly what Putin is over in Russia. He has aligned himself with the Greek Orthodox Church and just horrible people. Idea. That's right, Dave. I said idea. Gary Priestley, I hope you're doing well. I just love it when they say the quiet part out loud. You're right, Gary Priestley. It's like, and that's the thing about Ted Cruz, is that he's tone deaf. He's evil, and he's tone deaf at the same time. You would think someone close to him would say, Ted, this probably is going to help you. You're just making a fool out of yourself. John Hudson says, Ted Cruz gives me the best bowel movements. Good for you, John Hudson. I'll make sure I play a couple of Ted Cruz clips in case you're feeling a little constipated. All right, everyone. I just want to remind you that we're doing the after party after show. It's an open room, dedicated to atheism and progressive politics. Anyone can pop in. It's at 10 o'clock. This show runs till about 5 minutes of 10. And the link is in the description below. So what are we doing? It's 18 minutes. We can do the next story. Let's talk about chickens. So what have we talked about so far? The COVID lottery, lying Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz, the man who's sucking up to, Donald J. Trump, has been for years at this point. The same man who, what did he call his wife? Didn't Donald Trump riff on Ted Cruz's wife? Just did some kind of roast battle on her, one-sided. All right. So let's do the next story here about chickens. I've had chickens before. I've had chickens in my backyard. It looks like a noble bird in this picture. But from my experience, ladies and gentlemen, chickens, I'm not going to call them vile, but I will say this. Especially roosters. Roosters are, my kids have memories of being assaulted by the rooster. Nothing really severe, just a peck, just pecking. So here's new CDC guidelines for chickens, everyone. Link in the description. CDC urges against kissing, snuggling poultry, and salmonella warning. I'm just wondering about who's kissing a chicken and who's snuggling a chicken. I was thinking about this last night. It's like a person who likes, okay, so if you like snuggling chickens, all the more power to you. But I would have to wonder whether or not the person who snuggles chickens has no other animal around. And it's either the chicken snuggling a chicken or a rock. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, chat. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, let's take a look at the story. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issued an advisory on Thursday warning people against getting too close to backyard poultry, citing concerns that the chickens may be spreading salmonella. In an investigation notice, the CDC noted that backyard poultry owners should take precautionary measures when handling their animals after 163 confirmed cases of salmonella were reported in 43 states. Don't kiss or snuggle backyard poultry, and don't eat or drink around them, the CDC wrote. This can spread salmonella germs to your mouth and make you sick. It's going to be tough for people who have to clean the chicken coop, because if you got chickens, more than likely you have a chicken coop, and someone has to go into that chicken coop and get the eggs and clean out the chicken coop. So that can't be helped. But once again, kissing a chicken and snuggling a chicken. Story continues. The advice comes after a year of multiple salmonella outbreaks that were found to be connected to interactions with backyard poultry. The number of illnesses reported in 2020 was higher than the number reported in years past. Outbreaks linked to backyard flocks, the CDC wrote. So don't get too close to your chickens, everyone. Keep a safe distance. Otherwise, you could get salmonella. Let's see. Sammy Jenkins, that's between you and your monkey. Sammy Jenkins writes, can I still spank my monkey? And that, sir, is between you and your monkey. Salmon, sure. I mean, maybe you can still hug your salmon, Gary Priestley. I wouldn't eat the salmon. Not, there's a lot of heavy metals, mercury in salmon, right? I'd be cautious. Jess M, glad to see that you're here. Stay in your lane, Andy. What was I doing? That was out of lane. I don't know. Rage. So chickens, yeah. B, glad to see that you're here, B. B, this is an interesting fact. 163 out of that many states is like the number of people who die each year from sticking things up their rectum. B, I had never thought about people dying from sticking things up their rectum. I appreciate the factoid right there. I'm going to wrap my mind around that. Oh, girlfriend, salmon and salmonella. I saw that coming. All right. Is it too early to do the halftime show? We do the halftime show, well, in the middle of the show. Something funny before we go into the other half of the show. So let's check this out.
Hey, did you want to?
No thanks.
Leave me alone.
There you go. I'd like to stay in bed too, if I could, but my brain makes me get up. The halftime show. That was a fast halftime show. So Raging Atheist says, my best friend's mom was a nurse, and her favorite stories were all the people who came into the hospital with shit up their ass. And shit, of course, not being feces, but just stuff. People don't realize. All right, I was about to talk about rectums for a minute there, but I'm going to stop myself. I'm going to let the chat handle this. You talked about the physics of rectums and putting things up your rectum. I'm going to go to the next story, everyone. I'm just going to go to the next story, which is mice. Mice in Australia. Yeah, I see you, Sammy Jenkins. Sammy Jenkins is, of course, from Australia. And it seems like Australia is getting serious or desperate with their mouse infestation. Yes, it is a biblical plague of sorts. Millions of mice are swarming Australian towns. Now there's a plan to end the plague with poison. Links in the below, everyone. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. Town in Australia. All right, I'll try to say it. Canawindra, Australia. The only good, see, now that's pretty severe, I think. The only good mouse is a dead mouse, Australia's deputy prime minister declared this week. I'm not going to go as far as endorse that statement, to tell you the truth, everyone. As New South Wales stepped up its war on mice with a plan to poison the plague infesting large parts of the state. For months, mice have ravaged fields and infested homes in eastern Australia, from the Victoria border in the south all the way up to the country's northern state of Queensland, causing millions of dollars of damage to crops and machinery. As winter approaches, the hungry rodents are even seeking shelter inside people's houses, according to professional cleaner Sue Hodge. Remember Sammy Jenkins, who's in the chat right now? He shared with us a video in the after show about the legion of mice that are swarming Australia, the eastern part of Australia. It is stunning. On Thursday, officials announced they secured 5,000 liters of one of the strongest mice-killing chemicals, a poison so potent it kills with one dose. Not everyone is happy about that. Some have expressed concern that laying poison to save crops from feral mice could taint food crops and kill local wildlife. Legit concerns. The year the rain brought rodents. For many, 2020 was a year to forget, but not for farmers or mice in New South Wales. Almost as much rain fell in 2020 as in the previous 2 years combined, creating fertile ground for a bumper harvest. We had really bad years of drought, then a beautiful year in 2020, and this year is shaping up really well too. But there's always something. Canawindra. I'm sure Sammy will. I'm sure I'll be corrected in the after show. Farmer Michael Payton sighed. This year it's mice. The bumper crops created by the redundant rain also created ideal conditions for mice. A mice disaster of, like I said, Old Testament dimensions. At least 8. This is stunning. How much mice are tribbles, everyone? Before we get into the actual statistics, mice are actually tribbles. Yeah, I'm doing old school reference to Star Trek, the original Trek. Like how much they can reproduce. At least 800 to 1,000 mice per hectare is considered a plague. Is considered plague proportions by Australia's National Science Agency, the CSIRO. Trying to count the number of mice plaguing Eastern Australia right now would be like trying to count up stars in the sky, said researcher Steve Henry, described by the New South Wales government as Australia's best expert on mice plagues. But he added, it's basically a moving feast. A pair of mice, this is disturbing, a pair of mice can produce 500 offspring more each season, according to Cicero, with females birthing a new litter every 3 weeks. Okay, so unlike tribbles, and if you all remember the classic episode Trouble with Tribbles, tribbles are born pregnant. So, of course, these mice aren't born pregnant, but every 3 weeks a female can have a litter. I was astounded. I was amazed by that amount. Now, the New South Wales government is wheeling out the heavy weaponry. After weeks of consultation between Henry and Cicero and farmers, it became clear the farmers needed to help end the mice plague. Last week, NSW Agricultural Minister Adam Marshall announced a fearsome suite of tools to manage mice, including free rodenticide poison for farmers. And this week, it secured thousands of liters of bromadiolone, known as a second-generation anticoagulant, for its potency. It's one thing to hear that you're getting rodenticide or poison for rodents, and then you start hearing about how it would kill the rodents, and you're like, I don't know, bleeding to death, basically. However, Charles Sturt University ecologist Dr. Maggie Watson says the poison is just too dangerous for use anywhere in the environment. This poison can leach into the soil and bioaccumulate in insects before being passed up the food chain, according to Dr. Watson, who warns of the possibility of farmers unwittingly poisoning the food they are trying to grow. The NSW government is seeking approval to allow farmers to use it on the perimeter of their fields, and they trust the farmers to manage the poison correctly. as you're a skeptic, right? As we grow in our skepticism, because we're not just atheists, we're not just humanists, we're skeptics too. When you hear phrases like, we trust whatever group to do it correctly with limited supervision, with the implication of limited supervision, or it's a very safe guess to say very few people are going to use it responsibly, or not everyone's going to use it responsible, and there'll be gross ineptitude with using this in this pesticide, this anti-rodent poison. Native birds such as black-shouldered kites, booburk owls, barn owls, and tawny frogmouths and Australian kestrels are all at risk of dying after eating a poisoned mouse, she said. Oh, my fictitious God, this story goes on and on. This is only the tip of the iceberg of the debate about what to do with this mouse infestation. I'm going to check the chat. I'm sure I'm going to be told. I'm sure there's going to be chock full of mouse puns possibly, and information about mice. Hey, Ox, how you doing? All right. Oh, well, why, thank you. I apparently I pronounced something that I thought was unpronounceable. So thank you. Remember Sammy Jenkins. Gary Priestley, yes, it's a true story. The footage is horrifying of the mouse plague. Yeah, you think to yourself, how bad can a mouse plague be? If you've never seen it, if you've never seen video footage, it's crazy. All right. Checking out the chat here. Good morning, Kendra. Glad to see that you're here. Here we go. Brainbug says, they don't have a lot of natural predators down there. Most indigenous fauna don't have the metabolism to hunt them. Indeed, indeed. Of course, now, I'm not a biologist. So I would imagine if you brought in a species to hunt them, well, by definition, that would be an invasive species, right? Ox. Morning, everyone. Always good to know I can wake up, go to YouTube, and hear butt comments first thing in the morning. Indeed. We're a classy show, Ox. That's what we're doing. Kind words, kind words. This channel never disappoints. Well, I try not to disappoint. The trouble with tribbles. That's right, imaginary god. Rage! On point. Mice are the quiverful movement of the animal kingdom, right? As many of you know, quiverful, the crazy Christian sect nestled within other crazy Christian sects. The more children you have, the better off you are. All right, I think I'm coming down to the. Oh, see, now I didn't know about this. Australia already has an invasive cat problem too. I did not know that. All right. I think we can go to what's our next story. Jobs? Are we doing jobs? I guess we're going to be talking about jobs. And you get to see me wrestle with technology for a second about what's the trouble with jobs. Because there's a lot of jobs that are available, but not a lot of jobs people are taking. And there's a variety of reasons why. And some of them is, of course, blaming the victim. Victims, of course, here in the States being unprotected workers. I just want to say before we get to the story, working here in the States, if you have a low-paying job, if you have a job that doesn't give you health insurance anyway, they're just, the concept of going back to work may not be that appealing when you don't have strong unions, when you don't have good worker protections. But let's check out this story.
At Dot's Diner in New Orleans, you used to be able to get sizzling bacon, eggs, and grits 24 hours a day. But now,
I'm 20 employees short right now to be able to open 24 hours.
does that hurt?
Sure it hurts. You don't go into business planning to work off of 75% of your potential sales revenue, or even 50% of your potential sales revenue. We're a 24-hour diner, and that's a big hit.
Hungry customers are filling booths, but co-owner Mark Brasso can't fill shifts. Why do you think people aren't applying?
Obviously, in my opinion, is the fact that they're making as much money staying home on unemployment than they would at being back to work.
In Philadelphia, Nolan Painting, in business for 40 years, is having the same problem as Dot's Diner. They have houses to paint, just not enough people to pick up the paintbrush.
Our success rate at hiring has fallen to terrible levels. I have nobody really in the pipeline now that's about to start, and that's never happened.
A Wall Street Journal survey showed nearly 7 out of 10 small businesses are having a tough time finding qualified workers. The employers we spoke with say it's not just enhanced unemployment benefits keeping positions open. It's also the lingering fear of COVID and lack of childcare. Those two factors are why Nicole Rohn, who worked in human resources, decided not to go back to work.
Just the amount of work that comes with having a younger child and having the demands of work, it's more beneficial to choose to be a mom right now.
Mass layoffs during the pandemic also led to a labor shift.
We know millions of people lost their jobs in the service and hospitality industry, retail jobs. And many people shifted to in-demand jobs, warehouse jobs for some of the biggest retailers, Amazon, Walmart, other big box stores that thrived during the pandemic.
Some who lost their jobs, like LaShante Knowles, taking the opportunity to follow their dreams. She went back to school for web programming and plans to start applying for jobs next week.
I feel like I was given a second chance. I'm just in the process of creating a website for myself, as well as creating a resume, and I'm hoping to get back to work before July.
Now, looking ahead, the workforce may be in for yet another jolt. Republican governors in more than 20 states say they will opt out of expanded unemployment, those $300 weekly payments next month, the rest of the country likely in September.
And Tom, you were speaking to those business owners. Do they think that the federal government might be able to somehow help them?
You know, Mark Brasso from Dot's Diner, he had an idea. He said if the government wants to keep helping people, why not give them a bonus for re-entering the workforce? They get hired, they get a government payment on top of their new salary. It's an idea that some states would actually are already discussing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
A lot of employers want to see people like that.
Well, there we go. There are a couple of things that we know, historically speaking, from past plagues. Typically, after plagues, pandemics, workers have more rights. One, there's just less workers, to tell you the truth. And two, it's interesting. We were looking at this study last week, I believe, and tell me if I'm wrong, chat, about what happens after pandemics. One, there's social unrest, which peaks about 2 years after the pandemic ends. But another effect of pandemics is that people are willing to try new things. So the young woman in this story who is going back to school, making a website for herself, being maybe more entrepreneurial, that's the kind of behavior you would expect coming out of a pandemic. People are willing to take more chances with their careers. And to tell you the truth, one of the best things, and I'm going to beat the drum again. If you're playing bingo at home, this is my healthcare. This is my healthcare pitch. Small businesses would be able to pay workers more money if they didn't have to worry about health insurance. If the government just took care of it, it would be cheaper, less expensive for everyone, and individual employers wouldn't have to worry about finding health insurance for their people, and people would be more willing to work for these small employers if they know that they're going to be getting good health care, as against working for slave wages and getting crappy health care. So healthcare seems to be universal healthcare, single payer healthcare seems to be the answer to many of our problems. Gary Priestley says, socialized medicine, it just works, and it works in a variety of different ways. Good morning, Jessi Bear. Glad to see you're here. Well, you know, that's right. Capitalism, especially American-style capitalism, is coercion. Pay your people properly. And I want to say thank you to John Hudson. Thank you for the $20. I want to get to the point that I just get rid of the ads on this channel. I'm already showing content for patrons and YouTube members. I'm dropping a video a week that is high quality videos, I think, that don't have any ads in them. At some point, I would like to, this is a great podcast, left-wing podcast called The Dig. Guy from Providence does it, and it's completely funded by patrons and by members. And I would like to shift to that model because I hate ads, and I hate to think that I am being complicit with American capitalism too. And Rage, right? Honestly, it takes some gumption to complain about folks not wanting your slave wages, and it's true. Yeah, completely true, Rage. Okay. Brain bug here. I depend on my snuggle chicken to protect me. Now this has turned into a chicken snuggler shaming channel. I'm sorry, brain bug. Let's see. I think I'm caught up with the chat. Imaginary God says, my company paid $850 a month for my health insurance policy. Yeah, indeed, it is. It's absurd. Well, that's right. The girlfriend. We would have to call universal. We can't call it universal health care because Americans don't like universal. They don't like free, but they love freedom. So we call it freedom healthcare. You're right. Excuse me. I think it would be, if you could give people free lottery tickets too, right? We're going to go with this COVID-19. That was one of our early stories today, everyone, if you're just checking in. New York and Maryland are creating lotteries for people who are just getting vaccinated for COVID-19. If we could do some kind of lottery system to incentivize freedom healthcare, universal healthcare, single payer healthcare, I think that would be hilarious. All right. Gary Priestley, in Australia, they simply take a small percentage of annual income tax, which covers the healthcare of the whole country. All right. So what's the last story we're doing? We covered mice. We covered chickens. We covered the COVID lottery. Ted Cruz sharing Russian propaganda on social media, of course. The jobs issue here in the States with small businesses. And we have one more story, and it's about the GOP audit in Arizona. Maricopa County will need new voting machines after GOP's audit, Arizona Secretary of State says. It's hard to believe that the GOP would screw things up and make everyday people pay for it. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's check out the story. Arizona Secretary of State Katie Hobbs said Thursday that the voting machines Republicans turned over to private companies as part of their audit of the 2020 election are no longer safe for future elections. In a letter sent to Maricopa County officials and shared with NBC News, Hobbs, a Democrat, cited security concerns about losing the chain of custody over the equipment when it was handed over to auditors and urged the county to get new machines. If it does not, her office would consider decertifying the equipment involved in the audit, she wrote. That would remove the machines from service. Yes, if you let the machines get tinkered with by, the cyber ninjas, a Florida-based company, because that's what you want to count your votes. You want a company called Cyber Ninja from Florida. And Florida is, of course, a renowned, high-quality state for counting votes. And ninjas, are exceptionally capable of counting votes, too. You just have to look at medieval Japan for that, everyone. State Senate Republicans subpoenaed nearly 400 of Maricopa's county's election machines, along with ballots cast by voters in November's election, to facilitate an unusual audit of the election results. The GOP hired private firms led by Florida-based cybersecurity cyber ninjas to do the work. I have grave concerns regarding the security and integrity of these machines, given that the chain of custody, a critical security tenet, has been compromised and election officials do not know what has been done to the machines while under cyber ninjas' control, Hobbs wrote in a letter to the county's mostly Republican Board of Supervisors, which oversees the county's elections. Yeah, maybe giving the machines over to cyber ninjas, not the best idea. The last panel, everyone. Last panel in this story. Fields Mosley, communications director for county services, said the board had received the letter and was consulting with attorneys about its next steps. Megan Gilbertson, communications director for the county's elections department, said 385 precinct-based tabulators and 9 central count tabulators were used in the general election and were subpoenaed by the state senate. We won't use any of the returned equipment unless the county, state, and vendors are confident there's no malicious hardware or software installed in the devices, Gilbertson said. More than likely, they're just going to get rid of the machines and have taxpayers pay for new machines. Thank you, crazy conspiracy Republicans, for doing the audit. Arizona, yes, Gary Priestley. There it is. Maricopa County is in Arizona. Jessi Bear points out, cyber ninjas, that's the name a 6-year-old would choose for a company. It is. It is something a 6-year-old would be like, I like ninjas, and I've heard the word cyber before. Cyber ninjas. Imaginary God. I thought I already gave you a wrench, but I will when I can. How's that? Give me a few minutes and I'll sync up everything. Brain bug. I like the reference, sir. I'm just happy that the Foot Clan has landed on their feet. Fighting Ninja Turtles, right? They have decided that they got to level up their game and just go into the cyber ninja land, cyber ninja business. Jessi Bear, referring back to the old story, I see hiring signs all over. Don't say you can't work, to which I say minimum wage jobs do not support life. They don't, especially with people who have childcare issues. If you have young kids, you need childcare. And a lot of the time, that if you are working a minimum wage job, a slave wage job, and you need money, it actually costs more money or a lot of your paycheck at the very least to get your kid into childcare. All right, imaginary God. I'm on this. Let's, oh, here it is. Are there any laws preventing Russia from making our voting machines? What about China? That's a good question. I'm not sure, Scott Duke. I am not sure. I'm going to tie up the show. I'm going to start wrapping things up, everyone, and I'm going to try to get Imaginary God a wrench. Oh, here he is, and I'm doing this right now. Imaginary God. Add as moderator. All right, Imaginary God, you are now a moderator. Feel free to put in links. All right, let's do something funny, and then we'll wrap everything up.
Hey, what's up? We're a Midwest emo band. We're called Lithuanian Foosball. This first song is called My Dad Left to Get Cigarettes and Never Came Back. Parentheses, why did you leave? Why did you leave? Ouch, dear God, the fret buzz on my Telecaster can't drown out the sadness inside me. Anyway, it's available off our debut EP in the back. You can get it on cassette or stone tablet only. Anyway, thanks for coming. Just kidding. I don't give a shit if you're here. The song goes like this.
I think I saw his band, or a lot of iterations of the band, actually in the 90s. All right, let's see what's going on. Hey, Ox, thanks for the $5. Once again, thank you. Once again, it is a dream, and I don't know what metric I'm going to use to actually just get rid of the ads. And I don't even know if I can still keep the super chat while demonetizing and not using the ads at all. So I'm not sure. I got to look into it. And maybe I'll talk to my friend Rage, because Rage knows more about this platform than I do. I love that band. I love that band too. Lithuanian Foosball. And thanks, Oz, too, because once again, but also for the kind words. I'm glad that you like the show. I do my best. I'm a one-man operation here, everyone. I do my blog, Laughing in Disbelief. I write comedy daily. I do this show and the after party show Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. And we're not done until 11 a.m. And then I do the late show too at 10:30. And then I mentioned we're having legal counsel. We're having the lawyer from the lawsuit that Satanic Temple, the fight that the Satanic Temple is fighting against religious theocracy, against Christian theocracy in Scottsdale, Arizona. Stu DeHaan is going to be here Sunday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, with, of course, my co-host, the Satanist extraordinaire, Jack Macharko. It's going to be great. 10:30. After party, after show. The link is in the description in case you want to go into the backstage, and then we'll just talk for like an hour. That'd be fun, right? And I'm just going to say goodbye. I'll see you at 10. I'm going to show the video, play the video, thanking patrons and members, and I'll see you at 10, everyone.